Welcome to Planet Forward. I'm Frank Sesno. This is our webisode, and we're talking here with Van Jones, White House advisor on green jobs, enterprise, and innovation. Planet Forward was on TV. It's still here online. We're going to bring some of the ideas that have come into us right to Van Jones. And Van Jones, really glad you're here.
Glad to be here. It's good to see you.
Well, let's get started. First, we're going to focus on communities and take a look at what communities are doing. Our first video comes from 5 residents in Palm Springs, California. Now, some of them were skeptics going into this project, but they became do-it-yourselfers, and they put solar on a bunch of their rooftops. So I want you to take a look at this, and then we'll see what they have to say, and we'll talk about it.
It rains less than 4 inches per year. The sun shines 350 days a year. We have 2 to 3 air conditioning units per home. We're 5 neighbors who decided to install solar by ourselves with no experience, and we've just taken advantage of the entire program.
Decided to do the solar systems. We went to the city and obtained our building permits under an owner-builder clause. The systems are fairly simple to install. The main problem we have is you need a qualified electrician to do the final hookup. Since we've installed our systems, we have prevented over 220,000 pounds of CO2 contaminants going into the air.
Payback on the solar program is absolutely amazing. Although we thought that it was going to take, we've heard that it was going to take a long time to actually recover your cost. When you do it owner-builder, you're actually saving a significant portion of money that is paid to the installer, and being able to do it ourselves was easy. Once you factor in, after the cost of the materials, you factor in the state incentive that we participated in addition to the Fed tax credit of 30%, our cost of our systems actually cost about 1/3 of what the installers are quoting the customers.
So, Van Jones, do it yourself?
Sure. I mean, first of all, what I like about this approach is that the more that people are cooperating, the more quickly people can roll this sort of stuff out. Not only are people doing things like this in that community, but also in places even like St. Louis, Missouri. There's a tough neighborhood where people need weatherization and other green solutions. Elected leaders got together and helped them get $200 million of Recovery Act money to weatherize every home. So the more we're working together, I think the faster we're going to go.
So you see that in this video as a key, this idea that we saw here, 5 neighbors together.
Sure, yeah, exactly.
What about this do-it-yourself thing? Is it really that easy?
Well, if you're motivated, it can be. I encourage people to check with your local planning commission, because they often are the kind of the back door. They know all of the tricks.
They said all they needed was a certified electrician.
Well, sure. I mean, in that community that may well be true, but one thing that is true is that most states, many counties, and an awful lot of cities do have rebates that folks don't know about.
Now, what they had in California, you're from California,
yes.
They had a 20% cost of solar power from the state, I think, right? And then a 30% from the feds.
Right.
Is that the formula across the country? What they had, does that happen
elsewhere?
Well,
no, different states are different, and then even within states, some counties are much more aggressive than others. So you're really going to want to check in with your local planning commission. That's the secret. They often know a lot of this stuff and can be your guide to the whole process.
So check with the planning commission.
Yeah, that's what I would suggest. And then often really smart solar companies will have their own list of this stuff.
Yeah,
for some reason, theirs didn't.
It's called business.
Yeah,
it's called good business.
Yeah, exactly.
Okay. All right, I want to take us to another community now. This is one that people might not think about, and they see their financial future blowing in the wind. So take a look at this one.
I'm on the Rosebud Sioux Reservation in South Dakota. This wind turbine behind me is an example of how Native people are looking to become leaders in renewable energy.
We want to develop our homelands, we want to have our own businesses, and we want to be, we're part of this United States. We're here first, but we want to be contributing members, and we want to share that dream.
South Dakota has some of the highest wind resources in the nation. According to the U.S. Department of Energy, Rosebud is considered to have excellent to outstanding wind potential.
There's going to be a series of turbines right through here along this road, then a half mile up, another row of turbines, and then another half mile up, another row of turbines. We'll have approximately 15 2.0 turbines sitting in this particular area here, tying into this Nebraska public power line. Through all the time, all the people on the earth before the advent of oil basically lived off renewable resources. Our people used buffalo, which was considered a renewable resource back then. The same energy that came through the buffalo for the people are coming through with the wind.
Is that a great piece or what?
It's very moving, very, very moving.
That was done by a graduate student here at George Washington University, Mark Ennis, who went out to the reservation to see. What about this community and the big dream here?
Yeah. Well, I think what's amazing is kind of this coming a full circle, that there's wisdom in indigenous cultures that we kind of got away from and came up with these cool technologies. Now we're kind of coming back together again, the kind of genius of Western technology with the wisdom of indigenous culture. And there it is right there.
Now, how many jobs can that actually create, something like
Sure. Well, a decent-sized wind farm to build is going to give you, several hundred jobs, and then to maintain, you're going to have 30 jobs, per decent-sized wind farm. But the most important thing is that the quality of these jobs is very high. These are well-paying jobs. If you're windsmithing, which is kind of building the stuff, and then all the engineering and all the maintenance, and then they're lucky they're going to be able to tap right into a power line and be able to distribute this energy beyond their own four corners.
They're looking to build something called the Owl Feather Warbonnet Wind Farm, a 30 megawatt operation. So how much power is that, and how many jobs does that generate? Because you're all about green jobs and making this an economic statement, not just an energy statement.
Yeah, sure. I mean, and that is the point, is that you can repower the country and beat global warming and also beat this global recession at the same time by creating these kinds of jobs. You're probably that's a moderate size wind farm. It's going to be enough though to create employment for a few hundred people. And as you know, for our Native American communities, that's a big delta. That's a big impact.
Okay, Van, we're going to be back with more in another segment. You can see these videos in their entirety, the TV show, comments that people have left, the energy learning curve, that's a public opinion survey, and a lot more here at planetforward.org. Up next with Van Jones, a reality check, what we can really change and what difference it'll really make, here on planetforward.org. Back now with Planet Forward, the webisode, and Van Jones, White House advisor on green jobs, enterprise, and innovation. That is a great title.
Thank you.
I don't know if it fits on one business.
It takes three, but there it is.
So from web to TV to web again, that's what we're doing here at Planet Forward. It's where we bring your ideas directly to decision makers like Van Jones. And thanks again for coming over from the White House today.
Glad to be here.
Do appreciate it. So Van, in the last segment, we talked a bit about what communities are doing, wind and solar in particular. Now let's talk about what people can do and what impact they can have. So here in the heart of Washington, D.C., in the heart of this campus of the George Washington University, students are taking a lead in something. And I know you've written about students. We'll talk about that in a minute. This comes from Building JJ. It's a green dorm here on campus. So let me show you.
Building JJ is a newly converted residence hall that has become a green dorm building. And we here have implemented new green technologies that kind of work with students so they can be eco-friendly and at the same time go about their normal lives. We here believe that fossil fuels are responsible for a lot of what's going wrong in the world today, especially in America. So here in DC, in an urban community, we are trying to make a start by reducing our water usage and our electricity usage to help be a symbol to other students at the campus and to actually enact some real change. We have implemented several technologies in our house to reduce electricity and water, including power strips so we can turn off everything at once and prevent ghost energy. We have motion sensor lights. We have, to save water, efficient shower heads, faucets, toilets, and all of our efforts with many other adjustments to the house have saved 60% of the energy usage of last year and 60% of the water usage from last year. So we've seen huge reductions, and we really haven't changed a lot of that.
60% reductions. What do you think?
Well, that's excellent because the average is about 30%. With fairly significant effort. So they've done something really extraordinary. And the great thing about that is that's going to be 60% cost savings. So one of the things that is important about...
We like that here.
Yeah, exactly. yeah. And one of the great things about President Obama's agenda is that it really focuses on efficiency as well as renewables. And so by being more efficient, not only are you, saving energy, you're also saving money, which is very important in this economy.
Now, he said something that I thought was very interesting. He said students can live here in an eco-friendly way, but go about their normal lives. It's sort of an interesting pairing, isn't it?
Well, I think, it goes to this kind of fear that people have, is that you're going to have to live in a cave in order to respect the earth.
Sacrifice. Give something up.
And what I think these young people are demonstrating, I think what the president is committed to, is the idea that with smarter technologies, we can actually do many of the same things we've been doing, but at a lower price point and a lower cost to the planet.
What's the most significant thing they're doing in that building, from what you could tell?
Well, actually the motion sensor lighting, because
really,
yes, because when you're talking about those larger structures, leaving the lights on day, night. That's going to be a big chunk of your time, but students aren't there all the time. They're out on the quad, they're in school. So what you want to be able to do is, when you open the door and you walk in, the lights cut on, you go in your dorm room, you close the door, after a little while the lights go off. And you can get, and you don't even notice necessarily that the hall is dark when you're not in that hall.
So what's involved in taking this model from a dorm and turning it into an apartment building or an office building and doing a whole city? Because your thing is largely about what we can do in urban America, where we use huge amounts of electricity.
Sure. Well, I mean, what's great is, the products that they use are not, they're not space age George Jetson stuff that we have to wait 1,000 years for. That's off the shelf technology, probably installed at with some good skilled workers. You can do that in every apartment building in the United States. You can do that in every public housing project in the United States, and get tremendous cost savings. And you haven't asked anybody to live in a cave.
Now, in your book, Green Collar Economy, you actually write about the role that students should play in a new partnership.
Sure.
So, these guys are more than just doing a dorm, in your view?
Well, I think that they are a critical part of what I would call the Green Growth Alliance. That we have this tremendous opportunity in the United States to have the best of business, the best of labor movements, student movements, environmentalists, justice folks say, hey, listen, let's stop fighting each other. That's the great thing about Barack Obama. He kind of sets this tone. Let's work together. Well, this is the kind of stuff. If labor unions could get excited about maybe doing some of that kind of work, new entrepreneurial opportunities, students love these new causes. Maybe you can have some training programs for low-income people to get a chance to learn those energy auditing skills. This is a win. It's not win-win. It's triumph. All
right. Well, let me press you on that, because we've heard some people on Planet Forward who say, well, great ideas, but not so fast.
Good.
One of them who says, and he writes the following. He says. This is from Gordon Johnson. He's a former budget director from the University of Colorado at Boulder. He says, wind-driven generators, solar panels, energy storage devices require a substantial amount of metals, lubricants, and other finite natural resources. He writes, given our current level of dependency on fossil fuels, it's a huge challenge just to meet a portion of the current demand with cleaner technologies. Can we solve any of these problems without addressing population growth?
Sure. Well, this is a complex problem. We certainly, don't want to overshoot our capacity to live on the earth by having too many people. But the reality is, it's not just the number of people, it's what those people are doing, how much they're consuming, how much they're polluting. And to his point, it is true that we are still in the first generation of these renewables. And we are, with some of these renewables, using, as again, finite, even exotic materials. But the next generation, it's going to be, you're going to see the price come down, you're going to see less exotic materials being used.
He's saying, this is all great stuff, and we're all holding hands and singing Kumbaya, but it's just, and a lot of people say with this sort of distributed power like this, and even with the energy savings, it's not nearly enough. The population of the planet is going to double. Energy needs are going to increase.
Well, I haven't heard of doubling. If we were talking about doubling,
I'm sorry, it's going to jump by another 3 billion, and the power needs will double.
Sure. Okay, that's right. Here's the reality. Enough sunlight hits the Earth's surface to power all of human in 1 hour, to power all of human civilization for a year. What we don't have is the technology to capture that and use it well. Here's reality. In the United States alone, we have a wealth of wind resources and solar resources that our best scientists say could take even just the wind resources done right, 15-20% of our load. If we then have more efficient appliances, which we haven't focused on, we can shrink the demand and meet more of our supply with renewable resources.
All right, one last question and one last response, and then we're done. Or there's a comment, actually. This is a comment from Green Neighbor. They came in and they say, we water lawns in the desert. We overheat buildings in wintertime. We overcool them in the summertime. We use leaf blowers instead of garden rakes. We transport foods we eat thousands of miles from farm to dinner plate. He says, I think we have to find a cure for this behavior before we concrete over more wild lands to support our energy habit. Means we really got to change the way we do things. Yes? No? Maybe so?
Well, I mean, I think you're going to see a combination of approaches here. I think what President Obama has been focused on is making sure that minimally the government is on the side of the problem solvers here. So for too long, I think our government's been on the side of the problem makers and the kind of status quo holding back innovation. This president is tired of the problem makers in the energy sector writing the rules for themselves. Let's have innovation in our energy sector like we had in our information technology sector. Let's see where we are in 10 years.
Okay, more ideas and comments can be found on all over planetforward.org. You can see the television show which we put on the air, see hundreds of videos and ideas and comments. So chime in, register to be part of our community, join the conversation, the debate, submit your own video or your essay. Van Jones, thank you for being with us today. We'll talk more when we come back. Stay with us, pop around on planetforward.org. And with us on Planet Forward Online, Van Jones. He's White House advisor on green jobs, enterprise, and innovation. From web to TV to web again. This is where we bring your ideas directly to decision makers. Van, some comments from some of our Planet Forward web community in just a moment. But first, let's talk about this very big deal that's come from the President of the United States and the administration to take miles per gallon up to 35.5. This is a big jump. And this is in, what, 7 years from now?
2015.
6 years.
Yeah,
Six years from now. So does this mean no more SUVs, no more muscle cars, no more fun in the traditional way we've thought about it?
Well, no. I think what it means is no more threatening our planet's health and safety by being kind of reckless with how we do our energy efficiency in the United States. We are going to have a mixed fleet here in the United States. There will be SUVs, there will be buses, there will be all that kind of stuff. But what we're trying to do here is shift the average. We want what I think is important to think about. First of all, before we rush downfield into that, this is historic.
What's the most significant part of it?
This is a big deal for two reasons. Number one, this is the first time the federal government has ever done a regulation that includes greenhouse gases in our performance standards. So we've crossed the threshold now. We've gone from literally 2 years ago debating, is global warming real? Should we do anything about it? Within 150 days of this president coming in office, we've actually done something about it. So this is the first dramatic step. This is the signal the world's been waiting for, that there's a new direction in the United States, number one. Number two, this is the biggest gift we could give our automakers.
How's that? Because it's going to require them to redesign,
sure,
revamp.
Listen,
it's going to cost them.
Hey, listen. You're talking about U.S. automakers. You're talking about Michigan. You're talking about Ohio. You're talking about Indiana. You're talking about some of the most skilled workers in the world, in the biggest concentration in the United States, the biggest concentration of engineers anywhere in the United States. You're talking about the industrial capacity that won World War II, now being given the challenge to help us beat global warming. You're going to unleash, finally, the true technological and engineering genius of the United States on this problem. And you're going to see us catch and pass Asia and Europe on this question, because now we got the right signals from our president, and we have the right workers. They have the right skills. They have the right work ethic. They haven't been allowed to build the right product. And this is the signal. Start building the right product.
So predict for me what the car lineup in 2016 looks like. Fleets have to get 35.5 miles to the gallon. What's going to be in the showroom? What's not going to be in the showroom? We love our cars in this country.
Hey, listen, here's the best thing about this president. He wants to get the rules right and trust the market and trust business to get us across the finish line. The president and Van Jones and none of us are going to sit up here and try and design cars for people. We wouldn't do a good job at that. But what I think what this president has done is here's what's going to happen. You've got people with ideas for cars that are so advanced that are now going to get a hearing. They're now going to be able to attract investment.
We had somebody on Planet Forward who sent in an idea that the car would charge from the roadway.
Exactly.
As it drives from the road, it would charge itself.
Yeah, I mean, there are.
Is that real?
Well, listen, I can't weigh in on that in particular, but there are people in the United States right now who have brilliant ideas for electric cars, for mixed, not only mixing fuel sources, incredible ideas.
Right, so
but now they can walk into any venture capitalist, they can walk into any of the big three, they can hang out their own shingle and say, I'm going to be a part of this transformation. And I guarantee you, 10 years from now, we'll be kicking ourselves. Why didn't we do this earlier?
Okay, yes, no, very quickly.
Yes.
Is the Chevy Suburban dead?
No.
Is the minivan dead?
No.
We're going to do that on 35.5 miles to the gallon?
What you're going to see is a mixed fleet, and you're going to see it's the averages that we can move. Quit asking me about what's going to be dead. What's going to be alive in this country, which is much more exciting, are little cars, cars with 3 wheels on them. You're going to see. You know what you're going to see? You're going to see these super light materials that are super hard. You're not going to see any reduction in safety, but what you're going to see is a real reduction in weight of cars designed around safety that are going to perform so much better that even our older models of cars, we're going to be more efficient.
And we'll still love our cars.
And hey, listen, it's the United States of America. Come on.
Van Jones, thanks very much.
I drove over here.
Will you come back? Will you come back?
Whenever you let me.
We'll work it out with the community here at Planet 4. We'd love to have you.
I want to come back because I want to see some more of these videos, because this is the genius of America, and we need to pull it in.
You're on.
Thank you.
Thank you.
All right, that's good.
Van Jones here at planetforward.org. Go all over the website, see the videos, see the comments, but register yourself and join this conversation and bring in your ideas. You just heard it. Van Jones promises to come back. We'll check out your idea here at planetforward.org. You can also check out the television show, this television special we did with PBS. I'm Frank Sesno. Thanks for being with us at Planet Forward.